Hola, and welcome to Tuesday Tactics. I am Ray Green, and today we are going to talk about 3 ways that you can earn more with better positioning as a consultant or fractional contractor or even a coach. Okay. Now, let me start with like some fundamentals here. Now, specializing pays more. Like brain surgeons are going to earn more than your general practitioner. Your general practitioner is going to earn more than the doc in the box at the CVS. The more generalized that they get, the less money that they make. And the same is true really of any professional service. The medical attorneys that sue the docs, they're going to get paid more than the local lawyer that does like a little bit of everything, right? Now, there's a long list of reasons that specializing pays more. Not the least of which is that you can more easily market your services to a well-defined audience, right? And so you've positioned yourself as an expert to that audience because it's really tough to market. Hey, I'm a pretty smart person and I've got good experience and I can help you solve most of your problems. Probably trust me. That's really tough to get into a message that actually resonates with your audience, right? So specializing pays more. It also pays more because of the assumed and the real expertise that comes from focusing your time and energy on something. Prospects are going to assume that you know more than anybody else if you've positioned yourself as the expert, and as you consistently do more work, do similar work on similar problems, then you actually do or you will know more than anybody else. So generalists are having to ramp up every time they get a new client that's not in like a specific wheelhouse, specific target or a specific problem. They have to learn all of these things, and then when they do, then they can start adding value. And as they're doing that, if you've positioned yourself and you're solving similar problems with a similar audience, you're going to continue to get better and better and better at that. Okay. So specializing helps because the prospects believe that you know more, and it helps because you actually do know more as you continue to do that work. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about 3 ways that you can look to specialize, three general ways then, and start earning more in the price premiums that come from being an expert. All right. Now, the first one is by market. And this is the easiest, most popular way to specialize in something. And when I say market, there's a number of different ways that you could look at that. You could say by industry, right? Like you work with like the trucking industry, or you work with the coaching industry, right? Like that's my fractional business. We work with 8-figure coaches. My sales audit is really relevant to them. So you can specialize by industry. You can specialize by an audience within that market. Okay. So you can say, I'm going to target CEOs. I'm going to target boating enthusiasts. I'm going to pick an audience of people, and that's what I'm going to go after for my market. Another way that you can specialize by market is by a profession. You can say, we're going to work just with law firms, or I'm going to work with entrepreneurship, like entrepreneurs, right? So you can focus by a particular profession, which is kind of like an industry. Another way to do it is to pick a business model that you're going to focus on. You can SaaS is a really popular one. A lot of sales, marketing, ops people focus on the SaaS, and they say industry, but it's really just a business model. You can focus on being the inbound sales guru or the inbound sales specialist. So you can pick the type of business model that you're going to specialize in. These are just a handful of ways that you can pick a market. It's not obviously not an exhaustive list of every way to segment a market, but the main point is really this. You're going to command better rates with your prospects because you're going to be offering peace of mind that you know and understand their business, their problems better than anybody else. And picking a market and then leaning into that is a tried and true way of doing just that. Okay. So market is one. A second one is picking a problem that you're going to solve, a specific problem, because you don't have to specialize in a market. It's the first place that people tend to go to, like the industry or the profession, something like that. But you can specialize in solving a specific problem. An example might be solving imposter syndrome with first-time CEOs. Okay, you're identifying the problem that market is going to have. It can be something like the final 5 pounds of weight loss for soon-to-be brides. It can be like financial insecurity of high income earners. Yes, that's a real thing. So like these are just a couple of examples. But the thing is, when you specialize in solving a problem, you can start to speak to not just the problem itself, but you can speak to the pains that those problems are actually causing, the underlying pains, which is why people really give a shit about the problems that they have, is that it usually has some pain that's associated with it. And you can speak to that and better than anybody else. Right. And chances are you can get to a point when you've specialized in a particular problem or a particular problem within a particular market. You can actually start to talk about the mistakes that they're probably making right now, trying to solve things on their own. Okay. So you've got market and you've got problem potentially. Another way to specialize is to have a unique or proprietary way of solving a problem. So it's by process. Some examples of this may be some software that you've developed. Okay. So if, for example, I have a client that has software that helps them that they've created using some algorithms, proprietary algorithms that identify the most profitable real estate investment properties, right? So they take the standard listings, they run it through a really proprietary algorithm and they say, these are good, these are bad. That's a process specialty that allows them to command price premiums. Another one may be a set of questions that you're using to identify top salespeople in interviews. Okay. So if you have a very specific way of identifying who's going to be a great sales performer or who's not, you're helping somebody solve a problem with a proprietary process. Or you may have a proprietary process for identifying bottlenecks. If somebody's trying to create repeatable sales within their business and, perhaps they've, it's kind of a scenario where what got you here won't get you there. And you've got a process for helping them get unstuck or identify what the bottlenecks are. You can specialize in that process. Wink, wink. That's our sales audit. But just having a way of solving a problem helps you stand out from everyone else, from all the other smart people that are out there that can probably solve problems. And it helps build your credibility as a specialist. It helps build your credibility of the knowledge that you have in a particular subject. And then as you specialize, you just go deeper and deeper and deeper into that knowledge because you're consistently focused there. All right. So you've got other consultants that are out like saying that they can solve a problem. And when you specialize, you're going to actually be able to talk about how, and that's what establishes your authority. Okay. So those are just a few ways that you can specialize and start to command those price premiums. And the question I'd have for you is, how are you positioned? There's a dozen ways to do this and you can mix and match these things up. The question is, are you positioned by default? Like just kind of a generalist, kind of vanilla, or have you really carved out what your position is? Is it by design? Is it very intentional? Do you have your market locked in? Do you have the problem that you're solving? Do you have a process to solve it? Any of those things? It's a question for you. Would love to hear from you. Until next Tuesday.